answered your call.
Alright, so we've been playing with the group since yesterday. Playing a 2-man and a 3-man party. Now, we're gonna start a solo party off.
I need a torch. Too dark for dwarf eyes.
So you gotta go through, punch some wood. You don't have to, you could literally just run forward. Grab some wood that's laying on the ground.
There must be a way back to camp. Could try the doors of Durin from the inside. Best
And you'll start by crafting you some basic materials. Going a little descending order. Teaching you how to do things, digging, find some cloth, you'll make your first weapon, which would be an axe. And anytime your hotbar's empty, it's just gonna autofill.
Firelight. We're not alone.
But you want to go ahead and grab as many resources as you can early on, because you don't have any bit of armor.
Oh, a raven of Erebor.
And then ravens were part of a company, must be from a camp, and can tell me what happened and how to get back out. Eat a mushroom, tips, spaces jump. Literally tells you everything. But it wants you to satisfy your hunger. Your hunger bar is that yellow bar down there. The bar next to your yellow bar is your sanity bar. Yeah. And then any dwarf remains you find, you give them honors. Take their hero token. You will want to collect these along the way. There will be some idols that will help you out. If you played Valheim at all, the ravens are just like in there. They tell you about the area you're in. They give you new clear objectives. You don't have to light these braziers, but you can.
Are you from our camp?
And
Thank the winds. I am Arik, son of...
but
Tap into the rest of
he
camp.
will
I cannot
talk to you, tell you about the different curses that are around here.
It blocks me. Could you search for another way out? For any other survivors?
And then anything and everything you do and find, it's going to give you some lore about it that you can read. Really cool and common. I'm not going to go through and read all of this lore. I have read through it once. But once you go through everything you find, it'll basically tell you a little gist of it. This right here is your current objective state. So, learning the game, tips, my journey into the dark. And then if you don't want to go through every little thing, like it's showing you once you get hearth, you can make some food, crafting essential. You can build a specialized flame. You don't want to do that. There's actually little waypoint statues that you can put stuffs on. But if you're tired of seeing all of this, you can literally just open any of this and mark all as seen for every objective. because as you do things, you're just going to get riddled with blue icon information. So with that, we'll just continue on through. This first cave is basically the hardest thing you're going to be doing because it's constantly so dark in here. But overall, it is not too bad to deal with. And it's always good to keep some wood handy when you're climbing through the mountains and stuff like that. Climbing down the cliff points, the only thing that does kind of suck if you're in the build menu, it won't let you fall unless you forcibly jump. And then deconstruct is X, and it is a 1-for-1 salvage. So don't worry about losing any of your mats. Once you're out of the crafting menu, you can re-pick things up. I'll just gather some stone. And pretty much you're just going to go around looting what you can find and exploring anything and everything. This is where you learned about the cursed doors that block everything for you.
With such shadow. No wonder we couldn't get it open from the other side.
So this was us finding an alternate way around. So it updated our goals, it upgraded the entries for the cursed runes that you found, and some more lore. But if you use the right tool for the job, it does help when damaging things. Your axe is mainly used as a weapon. You can use any axe to harvest material. You can use as defense. Just keep in mind when you're blocking, you will take damage when fighting enemies. And when you eventually get a shield, the shield will be the best thing to utilize when using one-handers. Because you can block, you can charge things down, knock people over. So, those voices you hear, just some random orcs that are straight up ahead. Like if you were to chase after them, they're just gonna run away, they're gonna burrow. You're not gonna be able to get to them. When it comes to meat, it's a 3-to-1. You want to actually cook up some meat. So keep that in mind when hunting. We'll come, we'll talk to the Raven. He'll tell us about the new area we just found.
There's no way west. No way out. I did not think
And we're just gonna go back so we can collect some of the stuff we ran by. I just wanted to show you that all those orcs do run off. I want to collect these mushrooms. So you'll find places like this that can either be rebuilt or just looted for materials. So keep that in mind, because you'll find a lot of bases as you go around, and you'll constantly have to be moving stuff or just leaving it behind. Dwarfs do not swim, so if you fall in super deep water, it doesn't kill you, but it does take some damage to you, and then it respawns you right back up. Now, that goblin right there, we charge over him, he's going to burrow away. So if you're fast enough, you can attack him to keep him from leaving. And really, fighting him doesn't do much for you at this point in the game, but because I brought them in, but you see blocking is just overly breaking the weapon.
I need a better weapon. Hey, check that out.
Oops. And as it comes, we can just craft a new one, because early on, it doesn't matter. We got a new weapon. He was trying to come to us. See, this is what I'm talking about with them burrowing and trying to get away from you. They'll do that because they're initially scared of you. But it's no worries. So you're going to want to continue on, and this is going to be your first base that you're going to build at. So it's going to tell you you're going to want to rebuild the stone hearth. So the hearth, whether you build a campfire, has a small radius, or the stone hearth has the biggest radius for building. The door frame is used for hallways, so you don't want to worry about that one. What you want to do is click on the simple door, and it actually has a door built into your actual build zone. And see, we don't have a lot of stone. They can come through, and your weak point is the stone. But we're going to come through. We have 2 out of 3 meat. You need 3, but we can make us a mushroom soup. Cool thing about it is you can create more portions. So if you're playing with multiple people, you can cook 3. It'll count down the amount of seconds, and it'll produce all 3 of them at the same time. It won't do one after the other. The one thing you got to keep in mind is food that you make on this table does spoil. So keeping it in its raw format, it does not spoil. So what we are going to do is we're going to come over here. We have a meal table. We're going to make us a couple of chests so we can actually store some of our loot. And if you build it correctly, when you look, if it's in range, it will pull everything that you build will in fact pull from your resources. So we have a cool chest. This rune mapscape, the black diamond you get from raiding orc camps and looting their chests. This is what you want to rebuild if you want to fast travel back or fast travel to certain locations. Then you have your forge and your furnace, but that's going to require metal. And what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to get some stone. But just like whenever you find these chests, if you don't find a key, which so far in the 3 playthroughs that we've done, we have not found a key at all. What you have to end up doing is, now that you have the recipe, you come over and you craft yourself a key, and then you can open it up. Whenever you're weary, you're growing tired, you need to rest to recoup your energy. So the one thing you're going to want to do, come over here, build a bedroll, and then just claim it. It's best to sleep at nighttime because most of the critters do come out at night. We will, in fact, build ourselves another torch just because this one is going to break. And we're going to take a little advantage of the afternoon, and we're gonna try and farm up some more stone so we can reinforce our build point. And then I wonder, we have not gotten it yet. So as we start to collect things, just like Valheim, the moment you put it in your inventory, it does teach you a recipe. It is, if you're playing with friends, only one person has to actually physically touch it, and then it actually works. Now, if you hold, you will do an overcharged attack, and it does more damage versus just doing a singular swing. So, overcharged are really good for killing wolves, really good for killing orcs, and as you get better weapons, the more you tailor your weapon, it will do things like you do a powerful swing, it'll knock people down. When you enhance runes onto it later, it will in fact do either AoE damage or help against certain armored minions you will find. But one of the biggest mistakes, and we can't do it at this moment because we have not learned how to do it yet, is so many people decide not to rebuild these statues. And we did it our first playthrough. We just ignored them. We're like, how do we get the armor? Armor, weapons, all these unlocks. If you see these statues, it requires you to input stone and either requires a certain level of hammer. So iron hammer, steel hammer, and so on and so forth. Just like these are where you're taking the totems that you find. And when you have 5, you place them on here, it activates, it gives you a blessing, and will teach you a recipe. So, it doesn't matter if you don't need to get all 5 in the area, you can always come back. We were in like the 3rd zone, and we came back and actually did both of these shrines here to get some more techniques. And I think it unlocks some helmets and shields for us. But the rats, super fast, non-aggressive. You just collect their meat. Right here is something you don't really have to worry about building. It's ironwood, steel ingot, requires an adamant hammer. This is something we're gonna have to come back to later on, late game, to come back and rebuild that. So, now we're hitting the early evening time. This is when all the critters are gonna start coming out. But as you can see, right here, we have a furnace. We have a forge. These are other little different base outposts you can actually take over. But you don't have to. And now we picked up a little iron ore just because we broke that material. Everything, for the most part, in here is lootable. And you come in here, you can see, oh, it can't be deconstructed, but you can, in fact, break everything. So, some of the stuff they put in the game there, you just come and break, you can loot, especially if you don't plan on staying there. And don't worry, if you do, in fact, actually break those, any and everything, like there's your 2 hearths, your chests, your pallets. As you actually start doing stuff, you'll learn. Like once we make iron, it'll show us we can build a forge, because we actually ended up building forges for the so much amount of armor we ended up getting. And then just stick to the objective line. It shows we ended up getting plenty of meat. So we're going to run back to our base. We should have enough stone. We have 24 stone. It isn't a lot of stone. We can come over here. We'll harvest this brick of stone. And some of the stone you end up harvesting doesn't actually break. It's there and will just constantly give you an infinite amount of stone. Just like the first log you come across to when you start playing the game and you punch it, it'll drop you infinite wood. But it's one at a time. The stuff that breaks, you typically end up getting more and more stone from it. But if you see, it auto heals as well. Some of the areas you dig through, you'll get through a resource and eventually you'll hit hard stone like this and you just won't be able to dig through it. But you will in fact start to get more and more stone. And now we can make some medley skewers. The medley skewers are a lot better than the mushroom soup, but both of them do work and are very good. So what we're going to come here is we're just going to come craft a stone wall right in front. Your weak point is in fact being your door. So what we're going to come here is because when you eventually do get raided, we don't want to make it too easy for them. So out of some resources, we can actually hear some wolves pitter-pattering around. And like I said, it is nighttime, so they will in fact start coming out. And if we just go out there really quick, see right there? Just hanging out right outside your doorstep. And they won't typically come do a lot of damage unless it is in fact a raid. But these guys are really easy to kite. You just hold back a power swing, run around, and then give them a good old whack. And I'm not worried about my health because as soon as I make this piece of meat that it wants me to do for the objective, it is going to give me stamina and it's going to heal me. So, we're not too worried about it, but what we'll do is we'll start cooking, and because we're tired and it's nighttime, we're just going to go to sleep. Just like Valheim, if you're cooking or if you're cooking food, whenever you go to sleep, it finishes everything. So you want to make sure when you're in fact doing all of this that you are making sure that your food's not out on the table when you sleep, because when you wake it will in fact spoil. So just keep that in mind. And then we'll just come here. We're gonna get rid of all our non-food items that we don't need in our inventory. We're gonna put some of that scrap away. We will probably need another axe here down the road, but what we're gonna prioritize is getting some more ore and stuff like that. So we got 23 ore. You can make the pallets, but for right now we don't need that. So we have ingot. It shows that we have iron ore, and then it's going to pull coal from that added coal table. So right here, this is a coal pallet. You can just deposit. It's really great because the coal stacks are only for 30. Certain things you'll notice are better putting in here. The wood and stone stacked to 99, 275. That's only a little less than 3 stacks, or you can just fill a whole chest. So one pallet, one pallet, one pallet, and the pallets get pretty big and make the base really cluttered. But stuff like your iron ore, your charcoal, you get so much of it and it doesn't stack a lot. It's best if you want to invest putting a pallet somewhere, and it will in fact pull from somewhere that it needed. So it's crafting these one at a time. They will finish as they begin, but we're just going to keep grabbing them. We're going to rebuild the forge as it needs. We got just enough ore, and as we do it, it does increase the fuel burn time. Now we're out of our ore. It's just going to keep going, and then it's going to have us make this key. The key will open it up to give us some resources and unlock some more crafting material for us, like showing rebuild the forge and forge you an iron sword. So now that we did that, look at that. Iron hammer, iron shield, forge build plans. So this is what I was talking about, is where you actually learn to be able to build the stuff you need. The repair smithy is something you're going to want sooner than later, because instead of it costing the max amount of material to remake it, it just costs scrap metal to repair it. And scrap metal comes so easy. It's just once you set up a base and you're really good to go, build one of these repair smithies. Helps out a lot. So we got our medley skewer. We're going to go ahead and eat that. It's going to give us the well-fed over here. We're going to collect our iron. We're going to build us a key. And then we're going to come over here. We need ingots here and ingots here. And it shows scrap, wood scrap. First thing we want to build is the iron sword. And then we'll come to the shield. But once you make the item and you finish the item, it will put it somewhere. So always make sure to check your hotbar, or check around the area that you were building, or sometimes a chest. Because sometimes when you craft things, it doesn't put it where you need it. So it shows we still don't have the key, right? So we'll click that ore. It wants us to build an iron forge, or an iron sword. We're going to build that. We now have an iron sword. We're going to replace that there. Let's take that meat. Put that away. And see, now we need more iron resources. Key. We'll craft ourselves a key. What just happened here? Use the key to open up the chest. There's the key. Now that we opened it, we got some more checkpoints to tell us about things. Ores and fragments, Westgate. I'm going to mark all of this as seen. But what we're going to do, mark as seen, because we know everything we can build. And we open it. And this right here is food that you can carry. All the other meat stays on the table. Everything else... Coins are utterly useless except for learning how to make a pile, a treasure cache. If you do find treasure cache out there, search them because there are precious gems in there. So we'll come here, we'll make ourselves a shield. Now we have some weaponry. And we'll put food on the hotbar. Only the dried goods, and once you get to an oven, you can actually start making the lumbus, dried meat, stuff like that. Coal is not something you want to prioritize wasting your wood on, but it is available if you needed to do it in a pinch. I definitely do not recommend it whatsoever. It's 25 to 1. And then we'll just deposit the coal because we don't need it where we're going. But we will, in fact, take this stone because now that we have base properties built up over here, like this is not a coal pallet, so we can get rid of that, just take some of the scrap. And I'm not worried about putting any of the stone in there. But what I want to do is grab the stone out here and then build, come down to our, crafting iron hammer. We need 2 ingots. So what we're going to do is go find us some ore. We have 2 ore, but we need more. And we can literally craft this from our inventory. So we don't have to come back and then we can start repairing some of those statues. But what I want to do before I leave, let's turn our light back on. And we're just going to do a little slight reinforcement here. And now they have 2 doors they have to, in fact, break through to get to your stuff. So, if it shows no damage points at all, whether it's 1, 20, whatever, then that means it's not a harvestable material. So right here, we found iron ore. Iron and coal are, in fact, red nodes. And when you sing and you mine, as dumb as it might be, you'll actually end up giving yourself certain special abilities, like an ore frenzy, or you'll give yourself spirited by drinking a brew, singing and dancing, and then chugging your brew. But when harvesting these giant nodes, one thing you want to keep in mind, keep a little bit of wood on you. See, we got the ore frenzy buff. So, a lively song of frenzy for mining. No stamina cost for using a pickaxe while it lasts. So, it gives you certain buffs. But you will have to build some scaffolding if you want to entirely get everything you're in fact mining. The biggest thing we're gonna run out of, because even though we're finding this big patch of iron, we're gonna go want to find some coal nodes as well. And you just want to stack that pallet, because you're going to want to process the iron. And this is what I was talking about. Like if you hammered through, it's just going to keep healing. It's not going to take damage. You'll just get 1 stone over and over again. And you do get stone while you're mining. So just might as well stick with the ore, unless you're trying to find a waypoint through something. And then most of the time, you just cut through the dirt. And then once you've collected it all, we've gotten 28 pieces of ore, and we did find some citrine. Citrine is used for later on, once you get your rune table. And you see here, we have a little bit of enemy fun. See how they're all burrowing away because they're scared of you? They're eventually not going to be scared of you. And then we tried to see if we could place that down. It wouldn't let us place. But we'll come over here. He wants to run away, and if you're fast enough, you could actually hit him. So these are just having you explore specialized areas. This should be our coal right here. And how you able to see it is you just make yourself pull out your pickaxe and it will ID the weapon for you. It broke. We knew it was. We're going to craft us another one and we're going to pitch the old one. And we're just going to mine this coal node. That way we can cook up all this ore. And we'll make our hammer, we'll make our repair station, and then we'll be basically set up to start getting ourselves some gear. Now, unfortunately, this time around, we did not get the image to sing, but that's because we still have the ore frenzy. So it says we're tired right now. But that's not that big of a deal because, like it said, you won't lose any of your stamina while, in fact, farming for ore. Till that runs out. So, we'll just come through, we'll hit everything, mine everything, take it all, because we want it all. And you don't have to go searching around, like, once you've uncovered the node, that's all of the node. Sometimes there'll be a little more, but as you can see, we're hitting the dead spots of the actual part of the cave, and now we're just taking a little bit of extra stone. Because, why not? We need some stone to repairing those statues. But, like I said, no more ore, and then eventually you hit no dig spots where it does not matter. Got 86. But as you can see, because the stuff is in fact breaking off, you get more versus just hitting and it giving you one. So another thing to keep in mind is the campfires on your menu up top there will in fact show your home base, but you can come up here and you can go, I want to know where my campfire is. And it will actually put a waypoint for you to actually be able to see. Makes it a hell of a lot easier when you're looking for things, when you can actually start to see things. And as we're progressing, you see we're getting more and more goblins to come out, because they're getting more and more curious with what it is you're doing. So we're just gonna little bit of things, and then we're gonna come down here and we got ourselves some cranberries. So now we can make ourselves some stuffed mushrooms. This water's not deep, so you're all good to go. And most of the ones that have like random stuff for you to harvest, like this is what I was talking about, 30 stacks of coal. We'll throw that little bunch of wood on there because we want to get those sunions. It really helps when it comes to crafting the better foods. Meat spoils the fastest. Let's see, yep, he digs away. So they're not ready to see just yet, but we are getting close. So we'll come in here. First things first, make it easy on ourselves. Deposit all that coal we found. We could come in here and go, all right, we have 28 iron. Let's just make a little iron ore platform. We'll put it in range, doesn't really matter. and we'll deposit our ore. Now, we'll come here, we'll craft all that we can do. It's full. As you can see, we have our new food items that we can use. The gems we don't need, we got some wood. We're gonna keep the stone on us because as soon as this gets done, what we're actually gonna do is craft this hammer. But we need 2 iron ingots, and then we're also gonna come over here and we're gonna take the 5 when we come back and get that repair smithy going, because that is gonna help us out a lot. But stuffed mushrooms, cranberries, onions, mushrooms. The meal table restores health and a lot of energy, and you feel stuffed. Feeling stuffed is really good for you. It makes it to where you're less likely to get tired. Your full stamina bar, your sanity bar is down next to your stamina bar. So as you start to do stuff, if your sanity bar depletes too much, you will start to take mental damage. It'll just be 1 tick. It's very annoying. You'll die over and over again. If you have friends, they'll just revive you. You'll run about like this far, maybe. You can try and sprint to get a little further, and then your character will die again, and they'll just have to pick you up. So, with that, we're going to hit C for our crafting menu. We're going to make ourselves an iron hammer. And before the night actually ends, what we're going to do, we're going to take this guy off our hotbar, because we don't need it yet. And we're going to put this hammer on our hotbar here. You don't actually need to equip the hammer whatsoever. You just need to have it in order to do it. And then you're going to rebuild this statue and see 1 out of 2, and it created a potential war axe item for us. And we see a statue a little further ahead. So we're just going to come over there, and there's statues all over the place. So keeping stone, keeping that hammer, I put it on my hotbar to make it easier. And bam, we found a fragment for part of our armor. Our armor we can see from hitting tab and looking at our character menu where we have our backpack. That actually gives you a blue status bar above your health bar. They got to take that out before they can actually physically damage you, which will help you on once you get out of this zone and make it into the next zone. We played our first playthrough where we did not actually make iron or any armor, and we were doing all right until a giant horde attacked us, and then we had some issues. So there's a search area over there, and then you have your gateway to Dorian's Highway. Both of these objectives are something it's going to want you to do. So, Dorian's Highway, learning the game, all of that's done. Tips are done for that. The records about the axe. But they've marked both locations on the map for you. So any of these search areas or stuff you want to search for building a axe, which you're not going to get right away. So far it seems like we've found 1 in each major zone. We found a piece of it. But now we've entered a more hostile area here. Those mammals walking around do give meat and hide. Now we can make some gloves. We have some light here. We'll take this onion. But these guys will do some damage just like the wolves. But 2 heavy swings takes it down. So, like I said, we're just coming through. We're collecting things. We can always shield bash things, but really not worth it. Just take them out. We'll come here. We'll turn on our torch that's about to break. We're gonna be looking and grabbing any of the food resources that we can. It's super dark in here. And matter of fact, we're just gonna make ourselves another torch. Because this guy is gonna break. But different zones you can go traverse through, and remember, quick platforms do help out. If your stuff breaks, like I planned ahead, we'll put it back on. We'll go back into the crafting menu because it definitely is super dark. And if you want to be safe, you can just build it across or just build the one piece. It literally costs 1 wood, so it's not really that big of a deal. But what we're doing is we're trying to get to this search area that's over here. And as you can see, more iron. And at the base, we have iron cooking. And then, can't see what it is, pull it out, iron ore. This is going to be one of our bigger nodes we end up finding. All this stone we can't get through. But the iron ore we can actually hammer on through. And we will in fact go a little deeper, but for now, we're not going to do that. We're going to bring ourselves all the way back, and we won't do any of our crazy exploring right now because we're skipping a little ahead of ourselves. So, you see that giant pack? That's a wolf pack. And now that I've aggroed it, it will come for me. Not that big of a deal. What we'll do is just overpower swing. Come in close. We got one of them. And we got the second one. So overpowers are your friends, and doing the spinning attack typically will hit both of them if they're close enough. Wolves typically take 4 normal soft hits from them, so it's not that big of a deal. But they were out roaming. It is nighttime, so keep that in mind. Different creatures come out at different times of the day. And if you're ever curious, like, oh man, where did I need to go? I need my waypoint. Remember, your campsite and your map here does update as you're turning yourself around. As you can see, there it is. So we'll just make our way back. We'll pick up that cloth. And we want to go back. Doesn't really matter that our food is running out. Because as soon as we go to sleep, we're going to wake up hungry anyways. But what we're going to do, come back to our place. We'll collect that little bit of iron. We'll be able to forge some gloves to give us a little bit of armor. But that's also what I was talking about, is if you just try and find the little mini-map icon, you will end up running yourselves into walls. So I like to use the mini-map. It's not the best thing out there. I prefer to actually open up my map and look because each level it'll show you every pathway that is accessible for you to find, versus you just using your mini map and not seeing, like, our camp turned red. Now it's under siege. So all these guys aren't gonna care about you at the moment. They're coming to try and break into your base. So we got our shield. We can literally bash these guys to make them fall over. Really good thing to do. Just keep bashing them, making them fall over. It does do damage to them, and your shield actually doesn't take a lot of damage. And then you can just swing. As long as you have that up and they're not directly behind you, you will be blocking. It's a shield, so it's designed to not take damage like your weapon blocking. But see, got a side swing on us. And the biggest thing it doesn't like from going from a shield is you trying to charge up a heavy attack. But if you go into a swing and a heavy attack, you can in fact just make a simple hit. Alright, we took a little bit of damage here. We're gonna back up. We're gonna hit 5 and eat. So fell into the dark. That's why we kept that on ourselves. Siege is ended. So they're going to stop attacking your base, but they're not going to go away until you actually kill them. The ones that are on the ground are going to end up running away, but the guys that are up here are still going to be attacking. So we'll just come through, we'll finish them off, and you see how many hits that's actually taking? Versus if you just did a knockdown, you pull up your nice heavy swing, bam. Ended up killing them all. So that's why once you're able to make food that you can carry, it's good to have in a pinch. Straight up healed me. Wasn't something I really intended to do, but it did happen. So we're gonna come here. We're gonna go, all right, we know we need 5 to make the repair smithy. It's a little guy, so we're just gonna come put it right there. And now 1 metal fragment. That's it. 1 for each item. Bam, everything's repaired. We can come over here. Oh, look at that. We got just enough iron to make a pair of gloves. Gloves went on our hotbar, or it'll go in your inventory. You just throw it on there. Now we got a little tiny blue bar. So we'll deposit our 1 piece of ore. And for right now, we'll just craft it. Because steel we have no need for as of yet. Which steel... Oops, I did not mean to eat the meat. If you hold Shift and click, it will fast row in a chest. So we'll put all of that away. Everything's repairable. There's another totem we found. We'll just put that there. We don't need any of that anymore because now we don't have to be worried about repairing our stuff other than torches. But like I said, we'll just make that a max stack. We'll keep the 27. Now we got climbing material. It's nighttime. We're going to hit rest. It'll become daytime. And that's how we're going to start our next morning. We're already on day 3. We've done quite a bit, but look, oh, our ore's done. We didn't cook any food before we went away, but that's okay. We got stuffed mushrooms. We're gonna make us one of those. It does take 2 minutes. But we'll eat that. And as you can see, we don't need much stone. We will get more. Requires steel hammer. You can't even put it in. Steel hammer is going to be used later on. But that's just some of the things you need. And as it checks everything off, eventually you'll get to a point where it's just going to say gather more materials and supply. This one's going to always flash. Not that big of a deal. Here it talks about your light meter, your sleeping. We just outlasted a siege. Talking about the foul goblins that aren't attacking. Some orcs. And the dark shadow, the purple stuff that you see. And this is where it tells you how you can find all these materials like ore. The coin used for nothing. Can't melt it down, just make treasure piles out of them. Coins stacked to 99, so once you get them, you can turn it into a massive pile. Just because coins are useless storage spots, but then you can put stuff inside it as well. And your little creatures. So, we have a little bit of iron ore pallet. We don't have a lot of iron on us now, so there's no point for me to actually make any storage spot. We don't need an iron pallet. But what we will do, we're rested, we're well fed. That's a good opportunity to start our next day. So, with that being said, we'll catch you in part 2, where we actually go hit the highway, we'll actually go explore, and we'll try and get ourselves more armor. But remember, that's common mistakes people do, is not making the armor early on and the repair smithy. You get scrap metal everywhere from breaking everything, finding it on the floor. Literally, 1 damage. 1 damage. That's it. 1 little piece to repair it from completely broke. Little bit of damage, doesn't matter. Versus breaking a steel sword and going, oh man, I need wood, I need hide, I need ingots. Stuff that starts to cost more. And just remember, you clicking on this stuff isn't building it till you actually go and click build. So don't be afraid of that. Your character is just going to do that. Just like if you start cooking, he's going to start prepping even though you're just looking at stuff. So don't worry too much about that. And that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next video. And we'll continue on our solo play. As we get our group members back, I will join back on their server, or if it's just the one that I'm playing so we don't get too far of our third friend, we'll play the dual server where we're a little behind because we actually didn't go through and make the armor. And don't worry, later down the road you will, sooner than later, you will learn how to make a larger backpack so you have a lot more storage space. So don't be too worried about it, and we will catch you in the next video. When I do stream on Twitch, you guys can pop in, say hello. We will be bouncing around this game and other games that do come out, but currently, right now, we are enjoying the newest survival Lord of the Rings game. Really having fun with Return to Moria, and I hope you guys are too. And if there's anything that you need help with, go ahead and leave a comment and I'll try and help you out. If we've gotten to that point, I will post for you, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks. Bye, guys.